Hey everybody, it's Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. How are you guys today? I am so excited to be with you. I am bringing you quite a fun video today. We are going to be making this gorgeous easel card. If you don't know what an easel card is, you are in for a treat because easel cards are really beautiful. They look like just a regular old beautiful card. This one happens to be a birthday card, and I used the Blessings of Home stamp set. I absolutely love the floral images in it. It's so beautiful, and the paper that is coordinating on here is from the Heart and Home Designer Series paper that is part of the Blessings of Home suite. There's an entire suite of products that all go together, 2 bundles, and some gorgeous products. So definitely check those out. They're in the new January to June mini catalog for 2022. If you don't have a demonstrator or you need a set of catalogs, just let me know and I'd be happy to be your demonstrator. Let me know. So let's go ahead and get started and I will show you how to make this amazing card. But what makes the easel card so fun is that when you think you have just a normal card, you can prop it open on a desk like so. Isn't that beautiful? It's such a little wow, and people do not expect it from your card. So let's go ahead and I will show you how to make this amazing card. I'm going to move these guys out of the way temporarily. And I'm going to put my card a little bit off to the side, and we will go ahead and get started. So to start out, you will take your piece of 4 1/4 by 11 inch. This happens to be fresh freesia, and you will score it at the 5 1/2 inch mark, which is the halfway point down the 11 inch side. So it gets scored at the 1/2 inch mark. Then it also gets another score at 2 3/4 inch from one end or the other. It doesn't really matter. This one is right here. And those are your 2 score marks. That's what forms your easel. So this piece will bend back and tuck, and then your card will stand up. So that is what you need. We're going to go ahead and burnish on this main score line right there. And let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you what we're going to do. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to attach this beautiful wood grain piece. This is the back. The Heart and Home paper is so pretty, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. So let's go ahead and add some adhesive. Get it going there. Oh, all right, I think I went too far. All right, so we're going to add some Designer Series paper. I'm going to put some adhesive on there, and we're going to add that onto the bottom section of, let's put more of the grain right there on that end. I think that's pretty. So that gets attached onto the bottom section of our card, and there's our fold, okay? I'm going to double check this side. I have a tiny little bit sticking out, so I'm going to come through here and I'm just going to trim that excess away. Very tiny, but it's there, right, guys? All right. All right, so now comes our next part of our card. We're going to set this to the side because the rest of the show is going to happen on this gorgeous scalloped piece. And that scallop is cut from the scalloped contour dies. This is one of my favorite new die sets with the new annual catalog that came out last year. And it's good until May of this year. But this is a gorgeous die. You can see how beautiful it is, and I love it. So this is really the main star. This is where all the beauty comes on this piece. I have cut another piece of Designer Series paper from the Heart and Home, and here it is, and I cut it with the second scalloped piece. This one just does a tiny little dotted stitch. It's really hard to see, but it's there all the way around the end. And so we are going to use this one and attach that right there in the center of our piece. I just wanted it to have a really pretty piece of Designer Series paper, and instead of just cutting it in a rectangle, I thought, why not? Let's just use these dies again and cut it again. So I used a piece of Designer Series paper. For this piece, it was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 of fresh freesia that I die cut it out of. And this one is 4 by 5. It may be a little bit smaller than that, but approximately 4x5, and then I die cut it with that second die. So let's go ahead and glue this down, and you can see there's another different wood grain piece. This one's a whole wood grain, and this one is not. So we're going to go ahead and attach this piece onto our main scallop, just like so. Oh, such pretty paper. I love it. Let's go this way. We'll put this down. When I put it against that freesia, I think you can see those dots a little bit better. All right, so that is in place. Okay, now the next step is this beautiful ring that I have built. Now that ring is cut out of 2 of our layering circle dies. Now, if you do not have these dies, I don't know why, because they're amazing. I used the very largest and the next to largest die. There they are. I'm going to show you what I did. I pulled them out of here. So I took the biggest one and I laid it on my piece of white cardstock. And then I took the next largest and I laid it on top of it. And I just made sure that there was about the same distance on all the sides of a border, just like that. I cranked it through my die cut machine, and when it came out, this is what I got. A nice ring. I also got the center part here of another circle, so I could always use that on another project. But you can link these dies up, which is a fun way to use them and make these really cool rings. So if I were to use a larger one and then the next size down, maybe, let's say this one, it would be even a wider ring. See what? It would cut that ring out there and you would be left with this size circle to use on another project. So it's a really fun way to expand the use of your circles and shapes. So definitely think about that, guys. All right. So that is our ring, and that is going to get attached onto our card like so, up here approximately. So let me grab my silicone mat. I like to use that when I'm going to be using wet adhesive, which I will be doing for this. And I'm going to lay it on here, and I am going to grab some of this wet Tombow. I call it the green and white glue, but it is our liquid glue. It's called Multi-Purpose, and it is in my online store. You can get some. So we're going to go ahead and run a ring of that all the way around. I'm going to use my tweezers because I don't want glue all over my hands, because I still have a lot more work to do on this card. And then I'm going to lay it approximately there. That looks good to me. And I'm just going to tap it. I'm going to release my tweezer. I'm going to tap it into place, and then I'll just do a little bit of a ring myself with my fingers and get that to really adhere nicely to that surface. All right, on to the next step. So we have a piece here of basic white cardstock. It's pretty awesome. It's just a scrap of white. And I also used a scrap of basic gray. And with the dies that come in the Blessing of Home, I have cut a bunch of these really pretty flowers out of basic gray. That is what is down here holding my easel together. So I did it twice. You get 3 at the same time. So I ran it through twice with some scraps. And I got those pieces. And then with another piece of 4x5 basic white, I cut another one of these same scallop pieces, the same as that floral pattern. And that is going to go on the inside of my card. So let's go ahead and adhere it down. And then we'll work on our beautiful flowers that are on either side of our ring. So I'm going to open my card, and I'm just going to lay it. And I'm just going to try and find a nice way to center it into place. And when I'm happy with its placement, I will press down. And I'm going to set it back aside, just like I'm going to do with this piece. They're going to live together over here on the side of my station so that I have some room to do a little stamping with you. Sorry, let me grab a little bit of water. When I talk a lot, when I make a bunch of videos and I talk a lot, I get hoarse. Just a lot of talking, right? You're basically talking to yourself. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add some ink onto this floral image, and I only need the floral part. I don't need the stem, but it's okay if I get some on the stem. So I'm just going to rub over the top like that first, and then I'm going to take my ink pad and I'm going to tap it to grab that. I'm going to grab a scrap piece of copy paper, and here I've used some for another project. I'm just going to recycle it, and I'm going to put my flowers just like that. There we go. And let's do it again, because we need 2 sets, 1 for each side of the ring, right? I'm going to go ahead and put my ink pad away. And then I'm going to turn this one the opposite direction. We'll do it again over here. All right. There are our 2 floral pieces. We just have one more thing to stamp, and then I will get started watercoloring. I'm going to clean off my stamp here. Get it nice and clean. All right. So let's go ahead and do our last bit of stamping. I have a 1/2 inch piece here of polished pink. And I'm going to use this stamp here that says, "Have a perfect birthday." I'm going to ink it in black. Make sure that I get a nice coating. And because it's skinny, you just have to be careful that you don't rock your stamp. But I've left myself plenty of room and plenty of length so that I can take care of this stamp if I do have a problem with it. I'm just going to press down and back up, and there you go. Have a perfect birthday. So we're going to trim that down to a real skinny piece in a minute, but I'm just going to set it aside for right now, clean my stamp, and we're going to start watercoloring. We'll do that trimming at the end. All right. So here we go. We're going to grab a clear block, and I'm going to grab my water painters. I really like using these when I watercolor. I'm going to grab the middle one here. It has some water in there for me. And I'm going to deposit a little bit of, we'll start with the largest flower, so we're going to need the freesia. I'm going to just put a drop of my Reinker on there. And I really like using the Reinkers because it doesn't use up all the ink in my pad, so that when I need to stamp, I can use it. Now you can see I am not diluting this at all. I'm basically taking pure ink, and I'm going to use that for these dark lines. And I'm just going to go over the top of this large flower, and I'm just going to follow these lines right here. I'm going to do it on both images. And we're going to really color that because I think it's so pretty. And I'm also going to do it on the centers of those same flowers like that. Okay, now I'm going to deposit some water onto my, by squeezing my, there it goes. And I'm going to dilute this ink into this water so that I get a pale wash of the fresh freesia. And then I'm going to come back over the top. Let's add a little bit more, one a little brighter, I think. There we go. I'm going to come back over the top, and I am going to deposit that color just like that. And you don't want to have every single spot without any white. You can leave a little bit of white. I'm going to do the same thing to the other flower. And when you watercolor, it's not about perfect. It's about beauty, right? And you just want the liquid to flow. So you don't need full coverage. You can see I left quite a bit of white on my card. Now I have a really fun rag. See how pretty it is? And I'm going to purge that purple out of there so that it runs clear again. And I am going to wipe that off. And I'm going to go with my next color. And we're going to move so on and so on, doing the same exact process that I just did right there. But I have gone ahead and sped ahead of us so that you didn't have to sit here and watch me watercolor all day, right? And I'm just exaggerating. It doesn't take all day, but it's basically the same concept. I'm going to go over the marks that the artist has given us that are dark with the pure color like I did. And then I'm going to go ahead and deposit more and more. And I've used Soft Succulent, Fresh Freesia, and Polished Pink. Those are my 3 colors. Clear blocks work perfect for watercoloring. All right, move this out of the way, and I am going to bring in my pieces that are already colored and cut out. There they are, pretty good, right? I'm going to set those to the side and we're going to work on this little guy. So I have this really awesome trimmer. I know you're going to be jealous. It is so cool. Stampin' Up does not sell these, so I do not have these available for you to purchase. But when I signed up to be a demonstrator, it was the promotion that Stampin' Up had going on at the time. And so I got lucky and got one of these guys. But every time there's a join special, it's always different. Stampin' Up definitely keeps us guessing, right? That we never know what they're gonna do. So that is the fun part of that. I'm gonna move this over. There we go. So see, I have cut that down to a nice narrow piece. You can get a mini trimmer on Amazon. They have them, lots of companies sell them. That one's just a Stampin' Up one because I happen to get it from them. But what we're going to do is I'm going to figure out where I want this to be, and then I'm going to use my paper snips and I'm going to trim the rest of this. So we will trim right there and maybe right there. All right, I'm going to take these pieces to the trash, and then I am going to use, when you finish up your mini dimensionals, you have this nice wide border, and I save that, and I will show you. Here is my nice wide border. Isn't it awesome? And so I am just going to cut some skinny strips, and I'm going to pull them off here and attach them onto my skinny piece that I made here. You can also use half of a mini dimensional. Actually, the size that I have here might actually fit on a mini dimensional, but I like to use up these pieces in this manner. You also can use sometimes the main dimensionals. They have a nice little border too when you're finished with them. I'll show you those because I have one that's finished over here. And so you can use like something like that. But I'm just going to use these small ones because I've already started, so we'll just go with it. And I will pull those off and fill up the back. There we go. All right, let's get these guys out of the way. I already have one of them here, so let me grab my Take Your Pick tool and pull the other ones off. These little backs. I don't like them because they get everywhere, but I do love using dimensionals. So I've come up with using this Take Your Pick tool because it holds on to them and then they end up in the trash can and not all over my floor, which is usually the case, right? We have little dimensional backings all over our floors, right? That's my little trick. All right, so I'm going to take the Have a Perfect Birthday and I'm just going to put it a little bit lower than halfway. I don't want it exactly half, and I'm going to make sure that it's even there. And I'm going to press that into place, just like that. And then we're going to use regular dimensionals on the back of our flowers, and then we'll use some small ones as needed for these small spots, because I definitely want them to have a nice amount of lift. And sometimes you need the little ones. That's what they're for, right? To put into those small spots. All right, so let me grab the babies, the minis, because I definitely want this piece to have lots of lift in all of these little small parts and pieces. I will stick the babies in there. All right, let's do the other one. I know I use a lot of dimensionals, but I definitely like my projects to have plenty of support, and I don't mind. You get so many of these dimensionals in a package that it's really a no-brainer, really. All right, I'll put one more here. Okay, so let's grab the Take Your Pick tool. Again, this is why I need this thing, because you see how many dimensionals I use, and I don't want the backs all over my floor. So we'll take a few off, purge them, come back in, and lift the rest. Come over to this one, lift those, come back here. All right, and we'll grab the last grouping of them. One more. All right. Final step here. Put our beautiful flowers around the ring, and I just want it to look like they are clinging to that ring, so I'm definitely going to play with placement here. There we go. And we'll add this little guy down at the bottom, and some of it will touch there. All right, how does that look? I think it's beautiful. Now we're going to adhere just the bottom section. This is going to get adhered just the bottom section. So it's from this loop down. So I'm going to hold my finger there and turn it over. So from this loop down, I could put my adhesive. So I will go ahead and put a line and a line and then a line in the middle. I really want it to hold on because it is only going to be attached at that bottom section. And then we're going to go ahead and lay this on our card, and that looks pretty good. Make sure it's nice and even. Press it into place, and let's open so we can add our flowers at the bottom for our easel. And the way that I have chosen to attach these flowers is with some dimensionals, and I'm going to use minis again. I know, can you believe it? So many of them. The nice thing is they're getting attached to a piece of white. The dimensionals are white. No one will know that sticking through that hole there is the dimensional and not the white cardstock. So it works out rather well. Even these little babies can take that baby dimensional. All right. Just make sure it's in place. I will hold on and pull the backs off. That's one set of these. They like to live on my fingers, so I'm going to go ahead and push that one down. Since it wanted to be stuck to me, now the big one wants to be stuck. Okay, it fell. One more. Come on, work with me here. All right. So there's the backs. I'm going to kind of form a little cluster of flowers. And it doesn't matter where you put them or how you put them down. You just kind of want them to be surrounded with each other. I'm going to put the two large ones first on either end. And then I'm just going to fill in with the small ones and then the medium ones like that. So that little cluster is what's going to hold my card in place, just like that. What do you guys think? I think this is such a beautiful card. It sits so nicely It is so pretty. I love the ring on there, and I think it turned out amazing. I hope that you've enjoyed watching me put it together. I certainly have enjoyed making it for you. I really appreciate it if you stayed till the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching it. And I'm sort of new to YouTube, I guess about 3.5 months or so. And if you wouldn't mind giving me a like, a comment, subscribe to my channel so that I can bring you more content, and also share my video with others that you think might like paper crafting. I would be grateful. Also, ask your friends to subscribe as well. And when you do subscribe, you'll get notifications of when I post new videos. So definitely check out my blog, inkyhandswarmhearts.com. I'll link it in the description below. And I'm grateful for you and being here with me today to help me while I made this really fun easel card. So I hope that you've enjoyed the process. Thank you again for watching. This is Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. Happy stamping!